I think perhaps the most excitable. All right, 3-2. Welcome back to 9 to Noon. I think an individual who perhaps is most excited, FM 100.3 KFAN, is, if only for 19 seconds or whatever, playing like real songs and stuff, is our next guest, Alec Lewis, at Alec_Lewis, via Twitter, covers the Vikings for The Athletic. And are you a Rick James fan, or just like happy the music is back and good morning?
No, yeah, I the music was gone, and it's. I mean, part of why I enjoyed.
Right, got a microphone problem.
Yeah, can you hear me? What's going on?
3-2, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Hey.
All right. No, that was great.
No, we're good.
No, I mean, part of why I love listening.
One-man band today, baby.
Part of why I love listening to your show is because of the. I mean, you play some songs that I don't know. Just it's funky. Mm-hmm. It's your vibe. And so I missed that.
It's very Destin, Florida-like, you know, with
I don't know how you're going to do
bars
this.
down there and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's great bars down there.
Are you doing your job quite well, you know, these days? And the reason I ask is, you know, I was just chatting with Mike Florio from ProFootballTalk.com, and you know, I set him up with a metaphorical softball on Justin Jefferson and the team shooting down trades and stuff like that. And he's like, you know, this and that and A, B, C, D, and E. And I think he dropped in there. There are some snot-nosed kids who are beat writers who were coming at me on social media, but I know what I know, and they need to perhaps do their job better or something like that. Well, I mean, you covered the team. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, I respect people who've done this business for a long time. I would just say I treat my job as I'm going to report the facts. When I know they're facts, I'm going to report them. You hear a lot of stuff in this job.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear it from other people across the league, from agents. And for me, I've always, I mean, and I haven't done this forever, but I just try to be very discerning in terms of what I report and what I don't. And when I know something is a fact, I will report it. When it's not, when something is just being told to me, I unless it's someone that I really trust that really has a lot of say in the matter, I just don't put too much mind into it. So I'm not. Yeah, I mean that's
understandable.
That's what I say. And I mean, here's what I would say too. It's like, I mean, I'm here every day. I talk to a lot of people in this building all the time and care so much about doing it the right way. Like we joke, I come on here every week and we have a great time and it's my favorite thing in the world. But like the people who know me best know, like this has been an 11-year wanting to give it everything I've got, and credibility to me is the most important thing. So that is why sometimes I don't joke around, because I care about being right, being factual, and being straight up. So that's what I would say to that.
I agree. I thought you would say more. I mean, it was kind of a shot at your professionalism, given you quote tweeted him one time and kind of took a shot at him.
No, I think I quote tweeted Pat McAfee, who had Mike Lombardi on, who perpetuated the same Malik Neighbors thing, which I think Malik Neighbors on the Giants. Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's what I would say. But I don't. I like I said, I love this job and I have a lot of fun in it, and I don't know, as long as I'm doing it the right way for me, and I can put my head at night knowing like I report, like I've said that, I think I said this last week, like when you get something wrong or you're like 60% right, like that doesn't, to me, like that doesn't work in this business. And again, in newspaper times, if you're wrong, you issue a correction. It's an embarrassing thing, and people, and it takes a massive hit to your credibility. In this day and age, you don't really have to do that, and it's kind of like, where did that come from? And there's all these Twitter accounts and all these reports everywhere. But
aggregators.
And that's fine.
I know.
I mean, I went to journalism school at Mizzou. And they
humble brag.
No, and
was Northwestern or Syracuse not available?
No, I didn't say it like that.
John's got plenty of cash. You could have gone to Syracuse.
I stayed over the summer. No, he doesn't. I stayed over the summer, got in-state tuition, buddy.
Oh.
Wow. But I say that
you're so lucky you did that. I take it from a dad of a child in Colorado. Yeah. Well done. Anyway, go ahead.
I interned that summer for the Columbia Daily Tribune, covered goat shows, mouse races, sidewalk creation. Yeah, I covered a goat show. a steer competition. That was my.
What's a goat show? Does Billy Goat Gruff win every year?
Yeah, you would know. You're a big fan of the goat.
I know. I mean, there are goat displays.
Yeah.
There are goats at zoos. There are goats at farms. What's a goat show? Do they shave them at those aggressive poodles at the Westminster Dog Show or something? Do they trim the beard with a beard trimmer?
No, I don't know. It was like guys in overalls and jeans in Sturgeon, Missouri, walking around goat. I don't know. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know.
You saved your father, John, so much money with that in-state tuition. You just ruined my day.
No.
Anyway, go ahead.
Well, yeah. I mean, you'll hopefully you'll be
fine.
okay.
I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Once I get out there and watch JJ run around, or like I saw on Twitter yesterday, some McCarthy to JJ action.
Did you?
That was you, man.
No, I didn't tweet. No, I didn't. I didn't tweet a video of McCarthy to JJ. I couldn't get
Jefferson
one.
catching.
It was Darnold.
Oh, Darnold.
Right, Darnold to JJ.
Wow, I didn't realize Sam threw the ball 100 miles per hour like JJ. And seriously speaking, though, Darnold has a much better arm than I think a lot of people around, not coaches or those who watch tape, but a lot of players, me.
Yeah.
I mean, I've called 2 of his games. It was Vikings-Jets in his rookie year, Vikings-Panthers a few years ago. But I didn't realize the velocity or just he has more pop to his arm than I thought.
Yeah, yesterday, and I don't know how close you were watching, and I was Mike Sando, who writes for us and does a phenomenal job, was here, so we were talking through a lot.
Sando's the bomb.
Yeah.
How'd I miss him?
Yeah, I wish you saw.
I chatted with Brett Bielema yesterday. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, he was.
Brett Bielema was here.
I saw him talking to Maxie for 20 minutes. I'm like, can I get the audio of that conversation? More than anything else, that's.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah, you were weird yesterday.
No, I wasn't.
Well, yeah, you were, because I was sitting down chatting with the money magician Rob Brzezinski for about 10 minutes, and you kept staring at us.
No, this is so not
and
true.
And he noticed, not me.
No, I did not.
So what's your guy doing?
No, I noticed you. No, you were. I mean, with all the big wigs. Let's be honest. You were hanging out with.
Well, Mark Wilf ripped my hair.
You were hanging out with Mark Wilf on the field. I mean, a couple people are like.
Boss came up and said, do we need, I'm not paid to call games by the Vikings, so therefore I'm not paid to call games by Mark Wilf, but it just in a metaphorical joke way, or proverbial joke, he came up and said, or symbolic in some continents, but nevertheless, he said, do we need to give you a raise to get a haircut? And I said, well, you can cut a check right now, and I'll get my hair cut every single day, and we can take care of 2 years if you want. And then it's, how are things out at Canterbury? And, what do you think of the old team? And I'm like, boss, you got a sport coat on, and it's awfully sticky out here.
No, he might have taken it off.
Yeah,
he had a hat on. He was
full of it. He was feeling his oats yesterday.
He was engaged.
He's happy with his squad.
Yeah, no, he was engaged. But no, you were talking to him, Rob, like I said, Ryan Grigson. You were. I mean, it was.
Can you stop watching me during minicamp?
I'm watching everything.
Well, I was watching you, and I have a question for you.
Oh boy.
Because I was on the other side of the field for the entire minicamp. Who were you talking to on that berm all minicamp yesterday?
That was Mike Sando.
Oh, that was Sando.
Yeah.
Okay. Is he your friend?
Yeah, I would consider him more of a mentor than a friend.
Right. Good mentor. And I maybe I've shared this with you or not, but I first met Mike Sando, and the Athletic had just popped, and so I'm like, Dan Pompei this, Russo Radio that, Twins Techie this, and soon to be YA that. And we are, let's see, so the Athletic is what, 5 years old?
I mean, it might,
something like that.
It might be like 7.
Okay, so the Vikings are set to play the Bears the next day, and at the JW Marriott in Chicago, I get back to the hotel like 10:15, 10:30, walk into the lobby, and there are George Payton, now general manager for the Broncos, and Rick Spielman. And they're talking to somebody I didn't know. So I walked up, put my hand out hey, is this private? And Peyton gave me the come on in and introduced me to Mike Sando. And I knew his name. Was he with ESPN?
He was.
Right. And so then, as the trust tree would go, the Spielman and Peyton, and whether it's Kwesi, Gregson, whomever, they're going to help. Background is what you guys would call it in the business, because Sando was doing a league-wide thing, and this was his opportunity to capitalize on the Vikings or capitalize on time to write about the Vikings. And So I listened to probably 15, 20 minutes of the give and take, question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. And Sando was writing, so we didn't have a phone in front of somebody, which was cool. And so then I read the story probably a month and a half later. It's unbelievable how accurate, and you guys pride yourselves on accuracy, at least most do, and all should. It was amazing to me how he was writing down the responses and how dead on he nailed every single one. And I can't remember if it had names or like team executive or something, a source, something like that. But I'm like, damn, man, he's good at his job. Holy cow. I mean, that was as accurately and fairly shared, I think, as I've ever heard.
Yeah, he is, I mean, in the business, I think, as respected as it gets in terms of, like, he doesn't really wade in the breaking news, transactional type of environment. It's more...
Yeah, you don't either, really.
I mean...
It's not that it's not important
to you.
No,
you do what you can. If you get information, then it is what it is. And it's a hard... I mean, like, I have the utmost respect for the Tom Pelisseros, the Adam Schefters, the Ian Rappaports,
and Doogie,
and
Doogie's the bomb. He's one of my closest friends.
Yeah, no, for people who wait in that environment, I mean, it's a tough thing to do, and it's part of the job, no question about it. But
if you were wrong about something, it would eat you up for 2 weeks.
It does. Like, you can't sleep when I'm wrong. So, but Sando is like, it's context, it's learning about the game. We were talking yesterday, like. He said John Gruden would let him sit in all those quarterback interviews pre-draft. And Mike Sando said he would just sit in there with him for 5 hours learning about quarterback play as he interviewed Dak Prescott and all these quarterbacks. And he's like, and Mike is he downplays just his knowledge of both the league as a whole and the game. But I mean, in terms of, like, he does this quarterback tiers thing before every season, and it is loaded. Not just with, like, generic quotes. Like, it is, I sat with this head coach and we went through these quarterbacks like this. So the utmost respect for him. And if he's going to be here and give me time on the side to talk through my job and story. Yeah, I mean, I like more appreciative than I could ever say.
Mike Sando writes for The Athletic and theathletic.com. He is cream of the crop. YA, young Alec, is not overstating that. Part of that talented, deep, and very, very gifted roster of writers for The Athletic and theathletic.com. Likewise for Alec Lewis at Alec_Lewis via Twitter. Lastly, with Sando here yesterday, given that's who you were talking to, who do you like more and why? Mike Sando or your new friend, banker Tim Siegley? Which one do you like more and why?
They're both experts in their own field. Yeah. And Tim texted me actually the day that we were talking about Monday, maybe getting together Monday, and I said to him Sunday night, I said, there could be something tomorrow that might make it hard for me to get together with you on Monday.
Right.
And ultimately it played out the way it did. But he texted me, Tim Siegley, who lives here in First Resource Bank. He texted me. And he's like, really like that story you did. I talked to some people in the building, but he didn't. I mean, again, that's who he is. He didn't have to reach out. So
part of the bankinmn.com family. I've endorsed them for a little bit. Community banks and stuff is very important to him.
Yeah, but picking between two people is not really a fair question, is it?
No, but that's why we asked it to you, because we knew we would get a chuckle, and that time it was a chortle. What was N'Keal Harry to tight end? What were you thinking about that?
Yeah, I got to be honest. The first time I ever saw N'Keal Harry in person, some people in life, you just remember the first time you saw him.
His arms are massive.
Love it first. I'm kidding.
Yeah, I get it.
I was on the practice field in the night. It was a night practice.
Damn it! I missed a good one there. Go ahead.
And I saw this. Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Well, it's lobby of where you live reference, and, and I struck out.
I see this guy wearing number 85.
Yeah,
or it might have been 13 at the time. I don't know. And I'm like
85.
I'm like, that guy, is that Josh Oliver?
Right.
That was like my first impression of seeing N'Keal Harry, and then. I talked to him last year one time. I remember I was one of the staffers like, what were you doing talking to N'Keal Harry? But I mean, he really loved Keenan McCardell. He's loved being here. I think he loves the culture. And I didn't know that I got to be honest, yesterday when that came up, I did not realize that he had transitioned to tight end, but
hadn't either.
It makes sense. He's huge. These transitions are really difficult. They have. I was talking to somebody yesterday. It's like, how many tight end? They have a lot of tight end. Tunyon has looked really good.
Yeah.
Johnny Munt, might as well just make a contract for Johnny Munt and Kevin O'Connell to always be together because of how much Kevin likes Johnny Munt.
Tunyon's 85, right?
He is. Yeah.
He was streaking down the field yesterday.
No, like every time I've seen him, he's looked impressive out here. I mean, you have Josh Oliver, Nick Muse. They've liked. To add another, I don't know, what are we going to have? 5 tight ends? Pick your poison with 5 tight ends.
Well, and Hawkinson was on the Mike Hughes Memorial Field, and he was sprinting. I'm like, damn, man. I think there was a report or something like maybe he wouldn't play for early part of the season. Like watching him run, now not full speed, but you saw it. He was running sprints on the Mike Hughes Memorial Field, and your guy Andrew Van Ginkel, who we're going to get to shortly, because I think he's a cross between Derek Thomas and Lawrence Taylor after reading that story today at The Athletic and theathletic.com. But from a tight end standpoint, now I don't think Robert Tunyon ever has been known as like an across the board George Kittle type, where he's going to kill you in the running game. His pass protection's unbelievable. He's fast. He'll stroke the post, and he can run down the field. Blah blah blah. I'm not saying he can't. I just don't really remember what he did all around with Green Bay. But I think they're up to something here, and here's what's leading me to believe this. Well, N'Keal Harry, if he makes the team, is massive. I mean, he's 6'4", 225, 230. Josh Oliver, same thing. And if Trent Sherfield Sr., if Trent Sherfield makes this team, in sneaky fashion, I understand he's a really good special teams guy, a really good cover guy. So I'm thinking about him on this new kicking conundrum. And given he was with San Francisco for a year, Next Level Shanny does not bring him in unless he can run block. Okay, that's it. Ayuk, Debo, they all run block. It's Juwan Jennings.
Yeah, guy's incredible.
Well, he's top 2-3 in the NFL with Allen Lazard and somebody else as best run blocking receivers. Well, then now we got this Harry move. And in believing they want to run better between the tackles, and they want to run better, just more efficiently, not necessarily more, but more efficiently. If Sherfield, he goes Niners, so you know he can block or Shanny doesn't bring him in. Dolphins, Mike McDaniel, Shanny Tree brings him in, run blocking receiver. And then Buffalo, where run schemes are very important with them for 2 backs, and Josh Allen. So I just think they're up to something here with Sherfield and now this Harry move, Oliver. They want to do something with those guys if they all make it, and Oliver certainly will, with their running game. You think I'm over amplifying that?
No, I wrote about Aaron Jones in the run game like last week or 2 weeks ago, and part of me just compared what the Vikings did last year to the Rams. Like the Rams and Sean McVay overhauled their entire run game, and they transitioned more from the wide zone, outside zone that everybody knows to more of a gap scheme, downhill,
really
hit you in the mouth style
with that Kyron Williams or whatever.
Yeah, but more importantly, they used your Cooper Kupps, your Puka Nakuas to insert in the run game, and those guys are great blocking wide receivers.
Cooper Kupp, top 3.
That's why I think you're exactly right to mention Trent Sherfield as a guy who,
they're up to something,
who fits in that mold. But the question for me would be like, well, would they be more apt to do something similar to what the Rams did, or would they be more likely to do what they talked about doing last year, which is a lot of 2 tight end sets, which is a lot of CJ Ham? To me, they have some multiple body option stuff with what they can do from a personnel perspective in the run game. I don't think they can do what the Rams did, because I don't think they have the receivers that block the way the Rams do. So you're right. Schematically, I expect them to be a little different. Maybe it's running more out of the shotgun. Maybe it's pistol. Like there are probably some options they could get into. So
that's a good call with the pistol right there.
We'll see. But
this is a team tailor-made to run the pistol formation. Quarterback in the short shot, running back behind him. And then now with these beef eaters we're talking about, it opens things to take with the full complement with Darisaw and a competent quarterback, and let's say Jones and Addison, all the right names, JJ. Jefferson, that is. I like that pistol idea because it gives an unpredictable feel with run, play action, or pass. I like that.
And footwork wise for the quarterbacks, it might be a little bit easier as well. So it's something we'll see. I mean, I don't really know, but I do know that last year, I mean, their idea was you add Josh Oliver, you go with some heavier personnel, and Justin Jefferson makes defenses stay with 2 high safeties, and it makes it easier to run the ball. The problem was Justin got hurt early in the season, so you never really, and the fumbles, so you never really felt, could they use Justin's skill set to run the ball efficiently? You never really got to see if it really worked. And I think to add Aaron Jones and maybe to have Justin healthy and see how that works, it's going to be interesting. But, I mean, it's funny, like yesterday, and I'm not making fun of the reporter, but I just want to set the scene. Like yesterday in the Justin press conference, someone had, like, oh, so do you think you guys are going to run more of the air raid? And Kevin O'Connell, like, gave this look of, like, it was kind of like come on, bro. Like, we're going to throw the ball. Like, this is what we do. But the run game is huge. Like, it for this team, for Sam Darnold to be efficient, to not be in third and long situations, having to create the whole time. Like, calling the run game in the right time and being efficient in it, to me, it's going to be important. And it's probably also, and there's going to be a big emphasis on the offensive line, which is why I think they want as much competition as they can.
Is speaking of the offensive line, with reports out there of how the Dalton Reisner deal went, and Dalton's here and he's happy and he's jovial and he can help if they use him. Do you think they'll use him? I mean, do you think Dalton is like I mean, if it's Brandell and Ingram, how set in stone do you think are those two?
I don't think set in stone very much right now because I've said this to you. The way this schedule starts with the difficulty of it the first 5 weeks of the season, they cannot mess around. I mean, there is nothing they can play with in terms of, like, your best 5 better be set for the first 5 weeks of the season. You can't, like, oh, can we see if Ed Ingram's going to be okay at right guard? Like, no. If you want to beat the Texans and beat the 49ers, like, it's got to be as good as it can be. So that's why you bring in a Dalton Reiser. That's why Dan Feeney is here. I mean, it is maximum competition. Kevin O'Connell said all last year, we want to play the best 5. But it's hard to do that. It's hard to figure out who your best 5 are without time. Right now, they have time to figure out who the best 5 is. So I don't think it's that set in stone. I think it is full competition. I think it should be because that is a group in the interior that to me is really important to what they're going to want to do. And if it's going to be important if they want to have success.
Chatting Minnesota Vikings minicamp with Alec Lewis, beat writer for The Athletic, covering Minnesota Vikings football. About an hour and 15 minutes, a little less than an hour from now, about 11:20, Keenan McCardell, wide receivers coach for the Minnesota Vikings, will join us at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. Max Fuller produces, and I'm Paul Allen. You're listening to KFAN. Who do you like in the NBA Finals and why?
Oh man, I didn't expect that question.
No T-Wolves, but I'm excited to watch. It's going to be good.
No, I mean I'm really looking forward to it. You know, the Celtics were so good all year, and they had. I mean, and I think they're gonna. That was a good shot. They're gonna have Kristaps Porzingis, which
knock your glasses off.
Which they're gonna have Porzingis, which is probably gonna change the calculus. And I really try not to let the most recent thing, like
prisoner of the moment,
be in my mind. But part of me just wonders if, like, the toughness / talent of Luka and Kyrie is just going to be, and I love Daniel Gafford. And I think Jason Kidd, like, his whole demeanor that night I was there watching him, the press conference, I try to observe that stuff very closely. And there was just something about that team that it's not going to be easy to beat Boston at all. But I just wonder if they just have too much, like, championship metal. So that's kind of what I wonder. I think.
At The Athletic, young Alec has been at work of late. Not that he's not ever at work, but a story that I missed, like the Jefferson story, where you talked to my man Sullivan, Jerry Sullivan.
Jerry,
yeah, was he? How does he know Justin Jefferson again?
So Jerry Sullivan is a 79-year-old. He was a wide receivers coach in the NFL for like 4 decades.
Oh, wow.
He coached wide receivers in the NFL for 4 decades. He coached Larry Fitz. He coached Anquan Bolden.
That's what it was.
Coached Brandon Lloyd, Isaac Bruce, all these guys. And Ed Orgeron he hired him as an assistant, like a special assistant, the year that Justin was a freshman. And Jerry tells this story, and it's something he jokes about with Justin's dad, how the first time he ever saw Justin on the field, it was Justin's first day. And he's like, that guy looks pretty interesting. And he walks up after practice, Jerry does, to Justin, and he says, like, young man, you don't know who I am, but you could be pretty good if you work hard. And Justin later that night, his dad goes, Justin, how's practice? And Justin's like, I don't know. This old guy said I could be pretty good. And it was this old guy is this guy who worked with Larry Fitzgerald every single day.
That's great.
And so Jerry watched Justin grow. He pretty much coached the wide receivers at LSU throughout Justin's time there.
Yeah.
And he has worked with Justin privately in the off seasons through Justin's time in the NFL, and he just reveres the kid. Jerry thinks the world of Justin. He said yesterday, he felt it. He really feels in his heart the fact that Justin has flourished the way he has. And part of it is obviously the talent, but so much of it is also Justin the dude. Jerry told me this story of before the 2019 LSU championship winning season, they needed a slot receiver. They went to Jamar Chase. Jamar, can you play in the slot? He didn't want to do it. They went to Terrace Marshall. Can you play in the slot? He didn't want to do it. Justin's like, I'll do it. If that's going to help us win, I'll do it. That's the dude this guy is. And Keenan McCardell, who you'll have in a second, said to me yesterday, he's like, people need to know the guy and the person.
Yeah, in that story,
it's a rare deal.
Yeah, well, that's the story that I was going to reference, or I'm referencing. You got Jerry Sullivan, 4 decades wide receivers coach or coach in the NFL, which I didn't know. I also didn't know Justin used Keenan McCardell as counsel during the contract negotiations. Not like, hey, help me dot this I and cross this T. It was more. And McCardell's going to be on the radio show about 40 minutes from now at 11:20, and I'm going to go down this road with him. I can't remember how I wrote it down, but McCardell has seen so much. 2 Super Bowls, won them both. As you put in the piece at The Athletic, and I didn't know that Keenan was a holdout at one point. Eventually got traded. So the counsel that he gave him was a nice little nugget, specifically for 9 to noon. With McCardell joining at 11:20, I'm going to chat with him about that. And with you, another story before that, and one that I missed, and I don't know how I missed it because I have all your albums. So I'll just ask the question. I've read the story, but I want to hear your answer. Why was the Andrew Van Ginkel signing the most underrated of the offseason for the Minnesota Vikings?
I thought it was the most underrated move of the offseason because I feel like he just is everything that Brian Flores seeks in a defender. Versatile, smart, and dependable. Now, he hasn't practiced yet because of the foot injury. He was on the side boxing yesterday. So dependability and whatever. He's gotten hurt. There's no question about that. But last year, he broke his nose in a game, stayed in the game, played the whole game. This guy had the 7th highest pressure rate in the NFL among all pass rushers last year.
Is that Pro Football Focus?
No, that is True Media, which we have.
Yeah, I saw that graph that you put there. Van Ginkel, according to True Media, and I have a lot of respect for True Media, by the way.
It's the best.
He had a better pressure rate last year, Van Ginkel, than Danielle Hunter, Aiden Hutchinson, and TJ Watt.
Right. So you can argue, well, pressure rate, Alec, that's not sacks. Sacks are massively important. I'm not saying that.
No, I get it.
But applying pressure is important. And I kind of fact checked it myself of when he was with Brian Flores in 2021 in Miami, what was the pressure rate then? It was 15.3%, which was 10th in the NFL. So I'm thinking in terms of what he can do he was the 2nd highest graded coverage edge rusher in the NFL last year. So you talk about elite coverage, you're talking about he can rush the passer, and then you're talking about a guy who's kind of local. He's from, I think, this Rock Valley, Iowa. He talks like he's the nicest guy in the world. He looks like he's at a Game of Thrones casting. To me, and again, like you said, Derek Todd, and someone commented on the story, and they're like, everything's so positive with this, but part of me is just he can do everything Brian Flores would want in an edge rusher, and they got him at a price tag that makes sense. Why did they get him like that? Probably the injury history, probably because Miami, from a salary cap perspective, has done different things. But I had a Dolphins staffer text me the day they signed Adrian Van Ginkel and said to me,
"How is Harvey Green?"
I don't know who that is. He said to me, "That is my favorite player on the team."
Wow.
I mean, that's what I mean. So I that's why it was like a Sunday afternoon. I'm like, I want to write something for tomorrow. There's probably gonna be this news tomorrow, but I'm kind of bored, so I'm gonna write 1,000 words on try to spin some craft on Andrew Van Ginkel. So that's what I did.
Well, yeah, but coming up with that graph that chart you came up with, the True Media bit, I mean, that was the dagger for me right there. I'm like, damn, and pressure rate matters a lot. Pressure rate, it's and when you chat privately with coaches or personnel people, which I'm sure you have, about like Pro Football Focus, a lot of them have said the same thing to me, is that, the first copy or the first rankings or ratings that come out from PFF are off TV copy and what they see after all the Sunday games. And I just have a problem with that, because you don't get the full spectrum of the field. Ain't trying to run down the company. They have their place within this industry. True Media is not that, and pressure rate's something that's, I mean, I don't know if it is still, I would imagine, but it's a pretty significant metric that a lot of coaches use. So to see Van Ginkel showed up the way he did, that's something I never would have guessed. But your last paragraph in your story was astounding to me. I mean, beautifully written. But
is this the Van Ginkel story?
Yeah, I just want to read it quickly.
I don't even know what it was.
This is the final paragraph of Alec Lewis's story at The Athletic for theathletic.com, talking about Andrew Van Ginkel being the most underrated signing by the Minnesota Vikings this offseason. One game tape from last season, Week 16 against the Dallas Cowboys, displays everything he offers. Van Ginkel sideswipes blockers and tracks down running backs. He rushes the passer, resets, evades blockers, and races to the other side of the field to corral Dak Prescott. He grabs, spins, bends, bulldozes, jumps, retreats backward, and affects the game constantly. It's rugged, easy to miss, and somewhat surprising, considering how little he is mentioned nationally. For now.
You like
for now.
You like that?
For now. So dramatic.
Well, I mean, again, now. I just, like I said, it was Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
I'd gone out Saturday night.
Beautiful.
I didn't feel amazing Sunday, but I'm like, sometimes in this job on a random Sunday in June, like you feel like you got to spin it a little bit. Yeah. Like you got to get in the gym and get some shots up. That's what
no doubt.
That's what it was for me. And I love this is nerdy, so sorry, but I love varying sentence structure. I love amazing action verbs.
Yeah.
I love people being able to like in this day and age, this, like people don't read a ton. They just don't. So how can you get somebody to read? Well, information that they can't get elsewhere, and hopefully like writing that keeps you there.
I think people read more than you think post-pandemic, because I think, habits developed during the pandemic. Like I watch a lot of either scripture-related things or sermons or live music, from the past on YouTube. Like I never watched anything on YouTube until like 3.5 years ago. But I bet you more people read than you think.
Well, I hope.
Well, simply because habits changed to 2020 and beyond when the ridiculous quarantine took place. Okay, now lastly, who leads the team in sacks and why? With a right to change the opinion after the Stefanski days and training camp and preseason and stuff like that.
Probably Jerry Tiller. No,
Tillery Doc.
I'm kidding. Who leads the team in sacks? I mean, the safe bet is Grenard, right?
Well, what about Dallas Turner? What about Van Ginkel with this Lawrence Taylor pressure rate?
Yeah, if Van Ginkel's healthy, like I'm not totally good, but I'm going to say Grenard.
Who leads the team in tackles and why?
Probably Ivan Pace.
What about Blake Cashman?
Yeah, it's possible. Ivan Pace, he just looks great out there.
Yeah.
Like I mean, he looked great last year. So, but he just, there's something about like the way he anticipates things that is just special to me. And you just see it every day out here. And he's run with the ones and all these drill. Like I just that's my pick for that, and I don't really think I'll budge off.
Lastly, the closer we get to games, it's like who gets nickel? I mean, like what's the nickel going to look like? You know, which two linebackers will they use? Van Ginkel absolutely will be out there. I knew he was a high end pass covering edge guy or linebacker before he got here, you know, but then you amplified that in the story, and then now we got this pressure rate thing. So like Van Ginkel, absolutely. Well, now, I mean, it's not the easiest cut between Cashman and Grenard. And Dallas Turner can do the old hand in the grass defensive end thing in a 3-4, so that might keep him on the field, but I think that bears following. Thank you for the conversation. I'll see you out there, okay?
Love it as always.
Is Sando here today?
No, he's in Detroit. He's
what about
flying
Rossini?
No, Diana, she actually just texted me.
Of course she did.
But she's not here. But no, thanks. Thank you for having me.
If I make it over to the berm, I'll say hello.
Yeah, you're not going to make it over the berm. You're going to be talking to Lenny Wilf, Ziggy Wilf,
Ahmad Hicks,
Kwesi, Ahmad Hicks.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be chatting with Ahmad around the corner. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Alec Lewis, The Athletic at Alec_Lewis via the tweet machine, and 9 to noon continues after this. Let's spend some time with main man Ahmad Hicks from Fox 9 at Ahmad Hicks TV here from Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. And before we get into a little bit of football, and Keenan McCardell, the wide receivers coach, joins us 30 minutes from now. Good work last week. Not only last week, but all through the Timberwolves playoff run. And good with Brian Windhorst, man, the ESPN NBA guru. Mm-hmm. That was cool. That interview was very good. What did he? Why did he tell us to clear our Christmas days? I thought that was interesting.
He basically said that Anthony Edwards is going to be a Christmas Day feature. He said that the NBA loves the faces of the league. Because I asked him if Anthony Edwards was going to be a face of the league. He said he may not be a face, but he may be one of the faces. And he said the faces of the league play on Christmas Day. They play on opening night on TNT. They play on Sundays on ABC after the football season ends. He said Anthony Edwards will be one of those guys that networks are just fighting over to get him on TV. So Brian Windhorst spoke glowingly over Anthony.
And I don't know Brian, you know, but when you succeed to that level and you have that cachet of Windhorst, Adam Schefter, Jay Glazer, just so on and so on and so on, that there's an edge to them that a lot of people don't have. And I can't remember the question you asked, but you asked a follow-up question. That was an awesome question. And he looked at you and
I know what it was. Yeah. When he was like, Anthony Edwards
I'll be him, you be you.
So I asked him, I said, well, what's the deal with Anthony Edwards? He said, clear your calendars. He'll be a Christmas Day guy. And I was like, really? I was like, are you serious? You think so? He was like, I know so. It's like one of those smirks.
No, I know.
Yeah,
but the look he gave you, like, did you really just wonder if I knew?
I told myself, I was like, I need to clip that and make it a GIF on social media. Just that facial reaction that he had, that was pretty gold. But yeah, I mean, some good stuff.
Good.
Looking forward to seeing Ann on Christmas Day moving forward.
They went out with a whimper. Do you think like the general manager Tim Connolly? I mean, he's not afraid of trading. And you know, I'm not. This is the third time I've said this radio show, but nobody's trying to run down Mike Conley here. I love Mike Conley. I think he's a great floor general. He's also going to be 37, so you got to start thinking about that a little bit. So do you sense, or like using your gift of discernment, do you think it's best for them to make a trade for a point guard this offseason?
One would like to think so, but if you ask some guys around that organization, they'll say that Jaden Clark, the guy who they drafted second overall last year in the NBA draft, that he could have been a potential lottery pick guy if he did not tear his Achilles at UCLA. Damn. So they seem to think that he's going to be really good coming off the bench. I just don't think that he has the offensive explosion that the Timberwolves need to kind of help out Anthony Edwards. I think he does help out on the defensive side of things, but they need offense, like you just said. And I think like a Darius Garland, a Colin Sexton, like a point guard who's a pass-first guy but can also go get you 20 off the dribble. That's what the Timberwolves need. And then you could transition Mike Conley to the bench spot, be a 6th or 7th man, come in and run that offense when Ant takes a breather. So yeah, they do need some help, I believe, offensively.
Yeah, we're in lockstep with those names too, because Utah has like 9 point guards. They got the guy with three names, Talon Horton Tucker or whatever. And Colin Sexton, and they use Jordan Clarkson at point. I love that take. What happened? And this is following Ahmad on Twitter, which everybody should do, at Ahmad Hicks TV. What happened between Stephen A. Smith and Monica McNutt?
I knew that was coming.
Well, with all due respect, who is Monica McNutt?
Okay, so she's a really talented journalist at ESPN right now.
Okay.
She's been around. She's a former WNBA player, top college basketball player at Georgetown. So she has expertise.
That's how I know the name.
She knows what she's talking about. So basically, Stephen A. Smith, Monica McNutt kind of challenged Stephen A. Smith on his platform. And if you know Stephen A. Smith, you know he doesn't really like to be challenged on his own networks. And so she pretty much called him out. She was like, respectfully, Stephen A., with your platform, you could have been talking about the WNBA a whole lot more 3 years ago, because he is doing it a lot right now. They are discussing, like everyone discussing the WNBA right now.
Yeah.
But what she was trying to say was, with your platform, your resources, we could have been talking about the WNBA every single day and bringing that exposure to the sport. What Stephen A. heard was, you're basically saying, I don't do this, but he then tried to spin it and say, well, I've helped you get on this show. I've helped, Molly Curran get on this show. And he was like, you know of Monica McNutt because she's on First Take. And he basically tried to come out and say, like, I've helped give this exposure to all these people, and no other talk show talks more about the W, which may be true. But Monica McNutt's point was, you could have been doing more for the WNBA 3 years ago. And Stephen A. Smith did not like that. So he had to double down on his podcast. Then he had to follow up the next morning. So I was kind of going back and forth with the University of Minnesota Gophers sprint coach, Ibrahim Kabia. Great guy. We're actually friends, so people may think that we were arguing, but we were just having a friendly debate, which I do on Twitter all the time. And he was saying that he believed Stephen A. Smith. He thought that what he was saying was right, that he did give exposure. I said, but what he did was he deflected. The storyline was he could have been doing more. Like a lot of sportscasters, like a lot of local towns, a lot of people could have been doing more 3 years ago to help the exposure of the WNBA, but we weren't. And Ibrahim Kabia tried to say that, it's all about ratings and things like that, and I should understand. And I had to explain to him, in local TV, we don't care about ratings like a network like First Take. Like, they live and die for ratings on an ESPN platform, whereas us in local TV, we care about sharing local stories. We don't care if it gets 50,000 viewers. If we tell a meaningful story and it impacts that person who we're talking about, or that community, then that's a meaningful story. We don't have to get 50,000 viewers that night for that story. Right. So I think that was the difference that I was trying to explain to Coach.
In closing here for this segment, I've been so disappointed in things that I've seen on social media. Well, what's the lady's name? Shanae Kennedy?
Kennedy Carter.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. The member of the Sky, who, just waylaid Caitlin Clark, dropped a B-bomb on her. And then where it immediately went to, that's racism. She did that because she's white.
No.
Why does it immediately have to go? And the minds that immediately go there, that's what disappoints me, because I'm like, why is that your first thought, man?
I think that's just how they were raised, how they were brought up. And it's just like, I tell people all the time, the people who say, I don't see color. Well, that's BS.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Everyone sees color. And if you're not seeing color, there's a problem. You're part of the problem. But I think that people who are making those comments are just people who grew up a certain type of way. And that's just their one excuse to, or they haven't watched the WNBA. Because if you go back and watch tape from 10 to 12 years ago, there are plays like that all the time. I mean, Angel Reese got laid out. And another, I forgot, Alyssa Thomas, I believe was her name.
Like the clothesline?
Yeah, she got clothesline. And Angel Reese came to the podium after the game like, I expect this stuff. Like, I'm a rookie. I want you to come at me hard, and I'm going to be ready to go. Like, this is just the nature of sports. There's jealousy in sports. There's physicality in sports. It's not a race thing.
Well, it's you're black, I'm white. And I think we're seeing this thing in lockstep, because like when I saw it, first thing I thought was, okay, she's envious of all the chips she scooped at Iowa, all the attention she's getting, where maybe she's not seeing the forest for the trees right now because of her attention. I'm watching more games, not just me, but a lot of people, and following it more closely. It just seemed like a welcome to the NBA moment. Here's who I am.
Yep, it was.
Could have done without the B-bomb, but, worse stuff than that happens in the NBA game with things that are said.
Absolutely.
Specifically to the female refs, which sometimes is deplorable. And it just had a bitterness or a jealousy thing is what I felt. Did you feel that?
People will be truly, there's a lot of jealousy surrounding the WNBA right now. You have to think a lot of these women were uber talented coming out of high school and college, like Caitlin Clark. Maybe not to the magnitude of Caitlin Clark, but they didn't grow up in the social media era.
Right.
That's not their fault. So right now, the whole social media world is gravitating towards Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and some of these other top names, where some of these older veterans are like, I've been doing this for 10, 15 years. Like, it's not just because of you we're getting this exposure, but let's be real. It is because of Caitlin Clark that you're getting this exposure.
Right.
But it's going to be players coming after her that are going to help continue to grow the game. Like, you look at the Las Vegas Aces getting their own practice facility and things like that. That wasn't normal before last year and before the investment that the owner's raider, was it Mark Davis, took advantage of. It's going to be the new norm moving forward for women's basketball, and you can thank women like Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, and the ones, Paige Beckers, that's coming up next year, because more people want to watch them play. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah, I love having you on the radio, man. Let's pause now and chat about some different things around the corner. Ahmad Hicks commentary, 9 to noon, and on Fox 9 is biting, and I really enjoy it. We are at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. Day 2 of Vikings minicamp is today, and we'll be right back.